What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Get Over Yourself podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing the 3 strategies I'm personally using inside of my life to close out 2024 to prepare for the best year of my life, 2025. Today's episode, I'm going to break down these 3 tactics on how I'm best preparing for 2025 to ensure that we have an excellent year, not only in my personal life, but as well as for the business and everything else I have going on. If you want to use these 3 strategies, I promise you it is going to make your 2025 the best year of your life and the most successful. So, with that being said, let's jump into today's episode. Today's episode is going to be broken down into a 3-part format. I'm not having any guests. It's going to be very quick, fast-paced. As always, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond. Feel free to shoot me an email off of the Get Over Yourself website. Or if you want to follow me on Instagram or any other social media channel, make sure to send me a message there. All of my links will be in the episode description, so make sure to hit that up. But to begin today's episode, I'm going to start with step number 1 on how I'm closing out 2024 correctly and how it's going to actually prepare me for 2025 to be the perfect, most fitted mindset I've ever had inside of my life. Now, step number 1, it's nothing crazy. I actually got this idea from Jesse Itzler. If any of you have not heard of Jesse Itzler, go look him up. He's written an amazing book called Living with a SEAL, where David Goggins lived with him for a few months while he was training and just went through a crazy workout regimen with him every single day and changed his mindset. He's an ultra marathoner. He's created an amazing business. When he was in his early 30s, late 20s, he started a private jet company where he networked with billionaires. He's just an ultimate legend when it comes to the business and mindset community. And so I excerpted this concept from him, this part number 1. And the first step I'm going to be taking to close out my 2024 in preparation for 2025 is organizing my lifestyle. And I broke that into kind of 3 separate categories, into a physical space, a mental space, and then one I kind of combined together as a spiritual/emotional. And there's different things you can do to actually organize your lifestyle in preparation for the upcoming year. And I want to start that in the physical realm. So this is the part I excerpted from Jesse Itzler, and he talked about this recently on the My First Million podcast, which I'll include in the episode description as well if you want to go listen further. This is totally from him, and I'm going to be applying it so I can ensure I'm closing out my 2024 correctly as well. But starting off in the physical space of organizing your lifestyle, one suggestion that Jesse had was going through and organizing everything he had inside of his house, inside of his office, inside of his physical realm. And so he kind of starts his journey off by going to the closet and he organizes his clothing. He says, all right, I haven't worn that in a while. I'm going to donate it. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to get rid of that. And he framed it in a way of actually being able to go through, sit back and see what kind of necessities he needed inside of his life and what was just extra stuff filling up space that he didn't need. And his physical journey of that was, a lot of it was through clothing. What do I no longer wear? What do I no longer need? It's just cluttering up my mind. And he also gave the example of clearing up his desk. So he'll go to work in his home office as well, and he'll see everything that he has laid out on his desk, and he'll organize it. He'll make sure that everything he has to do at the beginning of the new year is all organized, it's tidied up, and everything that he had to close out at 2024, it's off his desk, it's thrown away, the emails are responded to, everything physical is done. And I really like his strategy when it comes to this. I'm going to be applying it in my own ways too, outside of just the organization of the closet as well as the desk. But what it's really teaching your brain internally is saying, I'm closing out this chapter of 2024, all the little tasks that I had to do, the little annoyances every single day that I had to think about. I'm closing those off and I'm starting a fresh chapter here in 2025, one where after a couple months, we're going to pile on new clothes. We're going to pile up a ton of papers on our desk, and we're going to have those challenges that we're going to have to deal with when it comes to 2025. But we do not need to keep loading up our task plate with things that were last year's news that we no longer need to focus on. So in that organizational structure on the physical realm, make sure you're cleaning up your spaces. You feel like you have a fresh start going into 2025. It's gonna declutter your brain just as much as the physical space you're around. The second part I want to hit on inside of organizing your life is the mental state. And I kind of made homage to this as I was just talking about the physical space, but on the mental side, what are you currently trapped in within 2024 that is going to consume your brain as soon as the new year starts? And maybe there's certain things that you want to consume your lifestyle. In 2025, you want to continue them. Right now, we're organizing all the negatives away. We're getting rid of all that junk mail that's sitting on our desk. We're getting rid of the clothes that we never wear. Inside of our mental space, though, what are the concepts or ideas that you have in your brain right now that are dragging you down? Is it a tough conversation you need to have? Is there a way that you have been treating yourself negatively? What kind of mental state are you currently at? And are you going to carry that into 2025 as baggage? We want to make sure our bags are light and we're ready to go for this brand new trip, this brand new chapter as we enter 2025. If you go in with all this baggage mentally, you're not going to be prepared. And 2025 is going to have the exact same start as you're finishing 2024. I like the analogy of picturing a long marathon. We just ran the marathon for 2024 and we only got a couple days to prepare for 2025 now. If you're going in tired and exhausted and you're not ready for anything to change, that's exactly how you're going to start 2025. You're going to be tired and nothing's going to change into your favor. Last part I want to focus on here in step number one of organizing our lifestyle is the spiritual and emotional aspect as well. I threw spiritual and emotional together because in a lot of ways they combine, and not everyone has a sense of a higher power or creator. Not everyone believes in a God. And so I'm throwing emotional in there in the sense of we need to be able to get all of our ducks aligned in a row and make sure our headspace, going back to the mental side, is spiritually and emotionally prepared. If you feel like you have gone through some different trials and your headspace isn't quite there right now and you need to connect to a higher power, be that God or some other being that you can feel it inside of you, this is the time to do so. Make those connections. Make sure you're wrapping up everything with God. For me as a Christian, my standpoint is closing out things that I've done wrong this year, repenting, making sure I have a positive outlook on 2025. I'm making sure all of my emotions are in check. So as soon as the new year starts, I can go into it running and not barely dragging across the finish line from 2024 still. Step number two on how I'm going to close out 2024 perfectly and prepare for an amazing, if not the best year of my life in 2025, is I'm making sure I am not leaving any open conversations. And this is interesting because I'm looking at it from the business perspective right now. And in the month of December, it has been hard to get businesses on board with our software company. People are out of office a ton between Thanksgiving and Christmas. No decision makers are really trying to bite the bullet on one more expense or anything like that right up until the new year. Everything is basically in the month of December in the business world trying to get you prepared for 2025. We've had great conversations. We've got things. All of our stuff is aligned. But at the end of the day, many of our customers or prospective customers in the pipeline right now are ready to just get things rolling in 2025. And I understand that. I've done the exact same as I've been doing product demos and whatnot. So there's certain conversations that are going to be carried into 2025 from the business perspective that I'm very eager about. And I understand there's certain things that are okay to be left unsaid for this moment in time because in the future they're going to be for our benefit. Now, I do preface that and say within our personal lives, I do think it's a little bit different. If you had a falling out with a loved one, a family member, a friend, whoever it may be this year, and you're having some of this emotional baggage through the frame of conversation, I think it's time that you need to close shop on all of these. And what I mean by that, this could be for the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to these conversations. If you had a falling out with a loved one, maybe it's time to make amends, sit back on the situation, even if it was 100% not your fault. If you want that person in your life come 2025, it's time you ask for forgiveness and you move on from those tough conversations, from those fights that you previously had. If you go into 2025 still holding on to those grudges, it's only going to be that much more challenging to actually accept their forgiveness and them accept your forgiveness back. And it's going to drag you down emotionally when it comes to everything you have going on. Once again, we're trying to close up shop. We're trying to leave everything in 2024 that was negative in the past and just focus on the present future of 2025 and making sure it's the best year of our lives. So if you need to go seek forgiveness, if you need to ask for forgiveness, if you need to go and just have these brutal conversations, you have a couple more weeks, get it done, make sure everything is going proper into 2025. That being said, maybe you still have some positive conversations. Use this final couple days of the year to go and have the positive conversations. Thank somebody who helped your life in this moment, in this past year. Who helped you the most? A friend, a family member, a sibling, a coach, a teacher, anyone in between. Who helped you the most? Maybe somebody at your local church congregation. Who helped you when you were in dire straits, when you had a situation that you needed help on? How can you reward them? Offer to do something for them. Write them a thank you note. Actually express your gratitude. Have the positive conversation. Because what that's going to do, if you can ditch all the negative conversations, you can get done all of the bad and the ugly and just focus on the good at the end of the day and say thank you and express gratitude. Now in 2025, you're going to be prepared to have the happiest time of your life. You're not going to have anything weighing you down anymore. It's all positive and it's filled with gratitude up from here. Finally, part number 3 on how I'm actually going to close out 2024 in preparation for an amazing 2025 is dissecting what went good inside of my life this year, what went bad, and what was okay, but definitely needs improvement. And I think there's a couple areas you can look at specifically. And I'll break a couple down for as an example here in today's episode. I'm going to start currently with my physical state. I think going into 2024, I had some very lofty physical goals. If you go back and listen to my episode on creating vision boards for last year, I talked about some of them, but I had some lofty physical goals this year. I completed my first Ironman 70.3. I wanted to bench press a certain weight. I wanted to be a certain body type by the end of the year. And some of those goals I absolutely crushed, and some of them I came up short on. I finished my Ironman 70.3, but I messed up my shoulder again, so I wasn't able to hit some of my physical bench press goals or things like that. And so as I'm going into 2025, what I want to do is I want to dissect everything inside of that physical world that I did really good on, that I did really bad on, and could still use some improvement. And I'm going to kind of adjust my goals going into 2025 based on what I actually got done in 2024. Because I think the biggest challenge that a lot of people face when they're creating New Year's resolutions and goals is in the moment when you're writing some of these things down, it's a very lofty vision, but you say, yeah, new year, new me, I'm going to get these things done. It's going to be amazing. But then when push comes to shove, when you go through something difficult, when something at work, a big project comes up, when your kids kick and scream, there's going to be the days where you throw in the towel and you say, I'm not doing it. And I think that's natural. But at the end of the day, if we can dissect what went really good inside of these goals this year, what went bad and what can be improved on, I think it's going to give us a more realistic approach to 2025 where we're not setting these crazy lofty goals that aren't going to be possible for the state we're in, but goals that are still going to push us and make us become a better version of ourselves overall. And incorporate this inside of business as well. Some of the areas that we need to improve on as a business are going to be incorporated into our quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 statement plans so we can actually ensure we're improving as a company as well. What went good on the sales approach? What went good on the engineering approach? How do we help our customers in these situations? How can we better serve them in the future situations? If you can go through and dissect all these different challenges you had in 2024 and how you improved on them or how you maybe could have done it better, it's only going to give you a better roadmap for 2025 because you already have everything laid out. As you're going and setting these resolutions, as you're going and trying to figure out what the heck you're going to do for 2025, look back on these moments in 2024 and use them as your roadmap. It's almost like a test. If you go in and you take version 1 without having studied whatsoever, you're probably not going to do very good. You're going to get by, but nothing's going to go great. Then you go and take the test again after having done some studying, after you already took the test and you kind of have a good idea, and you just continue that process. Same exact feat goes for 24. Think about the goods, dissect your life. Think about the bads, dissect your life. Think about what can be improved, dissect your life. If you can go back and kind of figure out all these moments through the physical, the business, the spiritual, the emotional side, maybe on your relationships, everything that you have going on in your life in 2024, if you can dissect that for a proper meaning in 2025, you are going to have the best year possible. Why? Because every single year, we're just looking for a minor improvement on what was previously made. And so those are my 3 tips, guys. Going back, number 1, organize your life. Organize it in a mental, a physical, a spiritual, and emotional realm. Figure out what kind of baggage you need to leave in 2024 and what ones you're taking with you in 2025. What are you leaving in the past? What are you taking with you in the future? What is going to make the difference? Next, leave no conversation unsaid. If you had great conversations, if you had poor conversations, if you have people that are mad at you, if you have people who became your best friends, express those conversations. Now is the time where if maybe somebody you haven't been getting along for quite some time, maybe it's the time to say, hey, I'm going to sit back and not pursue this relationship anymore. Not even a romantic relationship, even a person-to-person, a coworker, a friend, a family member. If at this point you're just recognizing them as toxic and not very beneficial inside of your life and all they do is drag you down and vice versa, maybe it's time you cut ties. And this is the time to do so as you enter the new year. It's the tough conversations you got to have, but it will prepare you for the upcoming year. Finally, step number 3, dissect what went good, bad, and what you can improve on inside of what happened in 2024, and then how you can do that better in 2025. It's going to set you up for success by helping you create resolutions and goals that are actually realistic. They're still going to push you, but at the end of the day, it's not ones after January 30th you're going to throw in the towel and say, I'm done with them. Guys, once again, inside this episode description, you can always reach out to me on social media, my email, or anything. Just click the link down below. If you have any questions, reach out, and we will see you in 2025.